Welcome back, episode 22, and we are live. Chris, how you doing?
Great, David. How are you today?
I'm here, baby. It's a great day.
Yeah, you are.
It's freezing outside, but it's a great day, and we cannot complain. It's supposed to warm up next week.
Yeah, I love that.
Weekend, which is crazy. So
we're here for it.
We are definitely here for it,
and we're here for you.
That's why.
Bam!
That was a good one. That was one of your better ones.
All right, Minnesota, go.
Oh, Minnesota Minute, bang. Timberwolves 28-11. They play Detroit, Memphis, and OKC coming up. Minnesota Wild are 18-20-2. They are playing the Lightning, the Panthers, and the Capitals coming up. Gopher basketball lost to Iowa. They are playing Michigan State on Thursday, and then in the PWHL, Minnesota, they are currently 3-1. They are playing Ottawa coming up.
All right.
So there it is. Quick little in out.
Crank it out.
Little in and out. In and
Love
out.
it.
It's like burger. In and out burger. In and out.
Yeah. Okay, and with that, let's do the round table.
Yes, sir. You want me to go?
Yeah, go for
All
it.
right. Last week, 15 top 25 teams in the college basketball rankings lost. Some lost more than once. Houston being one of them.
Mm-hmm.
But there's been 15
They were what, 2?
teams. They were 2.
Okay.
Gonzaga lost to Santa Clara.
Mm-hmm.
They were at 23, so they were a little bit lower anyways. But
I don't think they're ranked anymore.
they are not ranked. This is the first time they're not ranked in 164 weeks.
64. I thought it was 44.
164.
All right.
So
that's a long time.
that is a long time. That's just pretty much pure dominance for a while, I guess.
Is that more of a reflection of how good they've been, or is it more of a reflection of them dominating their conference and not playing as many good teams?
I definitely think it's a reflection of the teams they probably played were not as great, you could say.
Yeah.
Obviously, that was like the one biggest knock on them every time was like, oh, their conference. Like we've talked about.
Right.
They would go to March Madness, you'd be like, what is we going to get? And they have great players. They have great athletes. You just never know because their conference, like you said, is so bad.
Yeah.
So, obviously, they're feeling it now, which is good. I mean, it's good competition. So.
I like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was a rude awakening for Houston, Big 12. I think that might be their first 2 games in the Big 12.
Yeah, and it's been tough. I mean, all these games now are getting close, and I don't think there's one team, and we said this last week, I don't think there's one team who you can pinpoint and be like, that team will make it to the Final Four, Sweet 16, whatever. Anything can happen, truthfully.
Houston's 1-2 right now.
Yeah.
1-2, and it's their first 2 losses overall.
Mm-hmm.
Were the first 2 Big 12 games.
Which makes sense, yeah. But I'm just saying it's crazy because you don't know. I mean, we don't know what's going to happen.
We don't, but we'll give you all the info you need as it gets closer.
Bang, bang. There we are.
Yeah, we're cruising. We're going to the beer.
Let's fire up.
All right. We're moving on to Bauhaus today. It's available online at BauhausBrewLabs.com.
Mm-hmm.
You can also pick it up most likely at your local store. I would assume that if it's being sold online, then it's at most of the
local liquor stores.
Big liquor stores.
Mm-hmm.
It's brewed in Minneapolis, Minnesota. So local for you.
Literally right down the road.
The 2 that we're doing today is the Wonder Stuff, which is the Pilsner, and the Lounge Wizard, which is a hazy pale ale.
The what?
Lounge Lizard.
Okay.
It's forward drinking. I'll be honest, I like their labels. Take a look at that. That's nice.
It's clean. The Lounge Wizard.
And
it feels cool.
And the side, like, it details it out very easily of, like, all the things that you would need to or want to see of, like, what the beer is going to be like, how much percent it is, all that stuff.
Yeah, it's got a lot going on this one can.
Yeah, but it's nicely laid out.
It's clean, yeah, it's very clean. Very clean.
So, kudos to you, Bauhaus.
Kudos to you, baby.
Wonder Stuff, the Pilsner. That's going to be the lighter version of the beers that we're doing today. There's an additional IPA in the pack, and there's an additional, the 4th one is a Gosa,
We've had a few Ghosts.
We have had a few Ghosts.
Don't worry about the table. Do you ever think in our time doing this we'll ever see a JPA again? I feel like we haven't seen those too much. I kind of miss them. What the hell's at the bottom of this, Chris?
What is that?
You tell me. They're in both cans.
I don't know, dude.
Wait, is that?
I think it must have been in this can.
Wait, Doc.
I'm almost positive it wouldn't be in the glass.
This has got a tip. No, those are just bubbles.
Let's see.
This one don't have it though. That looked like rocks. Was it your sesame seeds again?
I don't think
well, you
so.
can drink that one. Those sesame seeds.
I'm gonna open up another one and see if it has
Really?
it.
Has those?
Yeah, that's weird.
All right, BRB. I'll talk to you guys. So what? That one was the purple one. Cool can. Let's see if it says anything on here. Prepare your taste buds to be transported to an astral hideaway where brewing alchemy and hop magics combine to form a spellbinding flavor experience. Huh. Doesn't say anything about having rocks in it. So I don't know. May contain...
Alright, can you confirm?
There's nothing in there, yeah. I can
there's
confirm
nothing in that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, what? Did you see that?
Yeah, it's not
I
great.
don't know, dog.
Part
Smells
of me,
very good, though.
part of me hopes that
This one has it.
this one has it so that it's not.
It's not. Yeah, no, 100%. I definitely agree with that. I just don't know, like... I just don't know what else it could be.
I don't either.
I don't see them.
I think we're safe.
Yeah, dog, I don't know. But
I'm gonna have to
which one are we starting with?
start with the wonder stuff because it's had a little bit more time to stew it over.
Yeah, dog, that looks like... Oh, God.
I don't know what that is. I thought I like casually cleaned the filter in my dishwasher the other day, but
Now the truth comes out.
didn't do it as well as maybe I could have, I guess.
I guess so.
All right, wonder stuff first. This is what the can looks like. Nice orange label. I want to say that this is... Oh, shit. I think this is the one.
Yeah, the light clear one.
Yeah. I think this is their most popular beer, if I had to guess.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure.
Pale ale?
No, it's a Pilsner.
Pilsner?
Yep.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's a classic.
It's a classic, it just tastes like a pale ale, like a light beer. With like a little bit more flavor. Like a
little
craft.
bit more hoppiness to it.
Yeah, a craft,
Mm-hmm.
fancier light beer.
Fairly easy to drink.
Very easy to drink. I can see why that would be someone's favorite /
Mm-hmm.
their favorite or their most popular is because it's the easiest to drink.
Yeah.
It's very light.
It almost tastes kind of like
What's IBU?
Indian.
Brewing? No. Indian beverage something?
Indian unit. It's probably unit at the end.
Indian something unit.
Beverage unit.
Okay. Yeah. Well, it's just at a 30. I don't know. So I didn't know if that was good or bad. You know. But I don't know. I think it's
International bitterness unit.
Okay, so we were 0 for 3. But I think it's solid. I do think it's actually a really good beer.
I think it's like it's a lighter beer, but it's like on the scale of IPA level because it has the extra hoppiness to it.
Yeah. The hoppiness is definitely there.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's also one of those, like I said, I think it's one of those where, at least when I think about it, like it's just a better tasting, it's a fancier tasting light beer. Like this is something you would get at a restaurant or at a brewery because you're like, okay, I'm going to have one of these or two. I'm not going to get messed up on these.
Right. It's a good casual beer to just drink at on a Saturday afternoon.
Yep. There you go.
All right, what are you gonna give it?
I gave it a 6 dose.
6.2.
6.2.
Okay. Do you want to elaborate, or do you want me to go?
No. So I think, well, I can elaborate a little bit, but I think, like I said, I think it is one of those where it's very easy to drink, so I do like it. It's a light beer, so I do like it.
Mm-hmm.
It does have a little bit more hoppiness than probably a preferred. But I don't know. In my opinion, it's the classic brewery. So
Yeah.
I think it's good.
I'm gonna give it a 6.6 for some of the reasons that David detailed. I think that it's got fairly good flavor. It's easy to drink. I could see myself casually sipping on this.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it also is able to be in like the category of beers that you would want to drink in the summer, like to refresh you.
Mm-hmm.
And also, like, it doesn't only have to be a summer beer.
No, I think it can be
Universal.
Multifaceted. Yeah, that's a good word.
There you
I was
go.
going to say multi-seasonal, but yeah.
All of the above.
So yeah, I think it's a solid beer. It's a good start.
Yep. All right, let's move on to the
rocky one.
top. The Lounge Wizard.
Rocky. Ooh, the smell is
Hazy.
definitely there.
It's a hazy pale ale. Okay. That's actually, it almost tastes like has less hops, even though
Than
it's
the
a
first
pale
one?
ale,
Yeah.
which is an interesting concept.
Yeah. I don't hate it though. I think the hoppiness, it doesn't like overtake the beer for me. You know what I'm saying? So I don't think it's bad, but I don't think it's like one of those for me. There is still a little bit of hoppiness, but I do think it's pretty good. I think it's got a lot more compared to the first one. It's got, I think, more flavor, like fruity flavor.
Yeah, it almost tastes like there's a little bit of a citrus to it.
Yeah, I think that's what the can said. Yeah, tropical fruit
Okay.
and candied citrus.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I definitely can taste that in there. So they're not lying.
Yeah.
So I think it's good though. I think it is good. I think it's one of those. I think it's pretty solid. I think it's easy to drink, just like the first one.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, when you get to some that are too hoppy, you just never know. But I think this one's pretty good.
Yeah, I agree.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let me. All right, whenever you're ready.
I'm gonna give it a 6.4. I think it's better than the first one. I mean, I'm still a little too hoppy for me, probably.
Okay.
But I definitely think it's still a solid beer that I would love to drink at a brewery.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's something different than just your normal light beer.
Yep.
But it's also one of those where it's not like, oh, I have to suck it down. It's like one of those where you could drink it.
Does that happen often?
There have been a few. There has been beers where it's like, oof. Usually the IPAs, usually the hoppiest ones.
You gotta suck it down.
Yep.
All right. Sorry, what did you say? 6.4?
6.4.
Okay. I'm gonna give it a 6.1.
6.1.
Yep.
Okay. Solid start to the pack.
Yeah. It's not an IPA, so it's not necessarily like it should be super hoppy kind of thing. But like when I see pale ale, I always get a little worried about that because my head just goes straight to, it's just going to be so hoppy that it's not going to be my jam.
Right.
But
you're going to have to suck it down.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But it's not like that.
No, it's not. And that's what's kind of crazy. It kind of gives you like that false little narrative a little bit where it's like you think that's coming, but it's actually pretty good.
Right.
So I think it's a good start. Good start to the pack. Good start.
Good job. Good job, Bauhaus.
Yeah, Bauhaus. Local. Go to your local brewery.
That's right. Minneapolis.
There it is. Bang, bang, baby.
All right.
And that's what they call
a review.
Yeah. Chris almost forgot his roots.
Well, I was going to give a little recap, but
never
too late.
Your roots. Yeah. No.
All right. we are going to start with the NBA.
Yeah. What are we, a month away from the All-Star game?
A month from
Next
when
week?
you're listening. Yes.
Okay.
You got to check every time.
I just want to make sure I have that. It looks
it's
weird.
That one.
Yeah. Just saying.
It's February 18th is the All-Star game.
Okay.
So it's going to be 1 month from Thursday when this episode comes out. So if you're listening on the first day, 1, shout out to you because you're awesome. And 2, we're 1 month out from the NBA All-Star game.
So there you go.
So we're giving you a initial look at the All-Star voting currently. The differences with this year versus last year, we're going back to the East and the West.
Yep.
So we did the whole draft thing. So to give you an overview, if you haven't paid attention to the All-Star game in the last couple years, the top 2 vote getters were the captains. They would hold the draft, and it'd basically be a fantasy draft or a schoolyard draft by the top 2 vote getters, who they wanted for the reserves, who they wanted for the starters. We're scrapping that. We're back to East-West like it used to be the good old days.
So is there does the winner of the All-Star game get a perk? I thought it used to be, maybe this was NFL. I think it was NFL. That they got like home field, or maybe that's the MLB.
It's the MLB.
They get like home field in the World Series.
Right. I want to say that they did that before.
Okay. Interesting.
I think that was part of it. I'm not exactly sure if that's coming back or not.
So somebody let us know.
Or we could probably look it up.
Just let us know.
What do you think about going back to the East-West?
I don't think it's bad. I think it's one of those things where, I don't know. It's the one All-Star game where like they try to make it fun, but it's very hard to be competitive. But it's also, I think there has to be something they put on the line. But I think when you have the East-West, it's easier than to put something on the line. So I hope it makes it more competitive. It was fun the draft was like a whole shebang, or the draft was like a whole thing itself, which was kind of cool. But then I think going back to this will be beneficial.
All right, so since 2018, each player on the winning team receives $100,000, and the runner-ups take home $25,000.
Okay, interesting. That is very interesting. Do you think that players are motivated by that money?
It says the NBA is confident that the $75,000 gap will ensure that the players will truly compete for the trophy, and to be fair, the gamble has paid off, as evidenced by comments of some players.
Okay, so they do still play for the money.
That's what it says online.
Okay, there you have it.
Mm-hmm.
I guess, yeah, just always interesting to me. It's like these players make, what is there, 82 games? If you make $100,000, that's what? If you make $100,000 a game, what's 100,000 times 82? Is that 82 million? Or is that 8.2 million? That's 82 million, right?
8.2.
8.2?
Mm-hmm.
So these players are making more than that per game.
No,
82 million. Right?
82.
Yeah.
Yep.
So yeah, I can see where it comes into play. I mean, you're playing for something. Does I wonder who keeps the trophy?
Probably the leading vote getter.
Okay.
I mean, in the past couple of years, it's probably been the person who was the captain.
Yeah, it was putting the team together.
Which it was LeBron almost every year.
Yeah.
It was almost LeBron and KD every single time, except for, I believe, the one year that KD didn't play, and then it was Giannis.
Yeah. So here's my question to you. Do you like that style where it's like, hey, let's just let all the fans vote for everything? Or do you think there should be something where it's like, all right, let's just there has to be some criteria for X amount of players, and then we'll let the fans vote for the reserves?
I think it would be very hard to determine which players get into the All-Star game based off of statistics. I think the fan voting is probably the easiest way to select who is in the All-Star game. It's not like it's not like the NFL where the Pro Bowl and being first team all pro, it all kind of like comes together at the end of the year. You know, like you could be an all pro first team in the NBA but not have made the All-Star game.
Right.
Chances are you're probably going to be at least close, but
Mhm.
like
There's still a chance.
most of the time in the NFL, like it's all leading towards the end of the year.
Yeah.
So you pretty much have the full year. Whereas, I mean, we've talked about it the last couple times when we mentioned the NBA, like we're pretty much halfway through the year. So there's plenty of time for somebody to turn it on. I mean, a lot of the superstars have been playing fairly well, or won't be able to like completely change how their stats are looking at the end of the year, but like you kind of know.
Mm-hmm. I mean, most of those players.
I don't know. It's only a halfway point.
Right. And I mean, but the thing is, it's so hard because you've already played. It's actually, isn't it a little bit more than halfway?
So we're right around halfway right now.
Yeah, so in a month,
So
and you
it'll be
only
a
have what then, like 20 games, 25 games, and it's like it's pretty hard to change your average drastically if you're already averaging 40 points, 30 points. Like you might change it by a point or two, but like you said, these all-star players or these players that are superstars are probably going to continue that success. I mean, I don't think I've ever seen it drop off that drastically.
Right.
So yeah, I agree with that. I mean, I think it's hard though in the sense where it's like, well, we talked about this off air a little bit. It's like it's hard because it's like some of these players that are getting in barely have played.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard when you start to look at how many games they've played versus how many games other guys have played.
Mm-hmm.
But in reality, like the easiest way always will be, okay, this person has more fan votes than this person. Okay, the person with the higher total gets in.
Right. It's just an easier way, yeah. Well, like you said, it's hard because if you don't do it the fan voting way, it's hard because like how do you define some of these guys' positions?
Exactly.
Like is LeBron a forward? Is he a
They've been trying to take away the criteria of you have to have one center, one power forward. Like I remember back in the day when you would go to games, and they would have the little trifold brochures that you could pick up, and each player that you could vote for would have a little circle that had a perforated line around it, and you could only like
select a certain amount of
prick out a certain amount per category for your vote to be counted. Like
that's crazy.
Those were the days. Did you
I remember
do
those
that?
100%. You used to do it in the MLB too. But it's different in the MLB because you have an actual position. But like for some of these guys, how do you define? And I know there probably some of them are defined by like a guard or whatever. But like, I mean, you watch some of these games with the Nuggets.
I'm pretty sure it was like a point guard, shooting guard.
Oh yeah, back in the day. I'm saying, but nowadays it's impossible because some of these guys who are like Jokic or Giannis literally take the ball up the court. LeBron has done it for a while. Like these guys are not your typical. There's not a lot of just strictly point guards.
Yeah, and that speaks to how the game has evolved. You know, like most of the absolute superstars are guys that are kind of meshing between a couple different positions, and that's what makes them so valuable. Is they can bring the ball up, or they can be on the wing, or they can go down to the post. Like that's why they are such a big superstars, because they can do all these things that back in the day you were like asking 3 people to do.
Right. Well, I think it's also just such a change of the times where like back in the day you used to have an actual center who was literally a center.
Yeah.
Now you have centers who are literally 3-point shooters.
Yeah, they do it all.
Besides a few teams, but so yeah,
all
it's
right.
crazy.
So we're 1 month out. Currently, so we're gonna start Western Conference. So they've broken it up into front court and guards. So they took out I don't even know. It wasn't that long ago that they took out specifically having a center.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it was not that long ago. But now they have front court and guards. So I would assume in theory that means that most of them will be 2 front court and 3 guards.
Yeah.
Right?
So is it just strictly
Most
all
likely.
based off of most votes? And then as the most vote getters, the people who make
Our
the starters.
Yeah.
Okay.
So let's see. Western Conference, you've got LeBron number 1 overall.
Which will be for the next.
You want to go front court and guards, or stick to the front court first?
Let's go front court.
Let's go front court first.
Yeah.
All right. So LeBron's number 1, just over 3 million votes as of this recording here. You got Jokic number 2, Durant number 3, Anthony Davis number 4, and Kawhi number 5.
Mm-hmm. So what do you notice about those 4? 4 out of the 5. I would say, 3 for sure.
3 out of the 5 are able to do a lot.
3 out of the 5 are able to do a lot. I'm also saying 3 out of the 5 are from a big time market.
Oh,
in comparison to that, and I'm not saying, but it's.
I mean, you could argue 4. Basically, I mean, you could probably say Denver is a
big
mid
market. Mid to big.
I would say mid market,
Mm-hmm.
but otherwise, you're looking at Arizona and LA. That's
right.
it. Like literally 3 guys from LA, 2 on one, 1 on the other, and then Arizona.
Right. So that's what I'm saying, and I will agree with you. To be honest, when you actually look at this, 4 out of the 5 probably can do 3.5.
Yeah, that's where I thought you were going.
But yeah, that's very accurate though. I mean, you look at it, it's like you just talked about. They're labeled as front court, but LeBron takes the ball up just as much as anyone. Jokic takes the ball up more.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like that's just how it. I mean, Kevin Durant can sometimes take it up. So it is different, and I think it's one of those things where, I mean, when you look at the voting, and like I said, LeBron will probably be voted in every single year.
Until he's
retires.
out of the league, yes.
Which is fine. Jokic is obviously one of the best players because he's always up for MVP. So it's just one of those things. I mean, but I don't know. I was happy to see Kawhi Leonard's back and stuff. It just would be interesting.
So right now, those are the top 5. Is there any one that you're like, I don't know if they should be in? Or we're pretty comfortable with
I'm comfortable with all 5 of those. I would say comfortable level is fine.
All right, so then the next 5 are Alperen Sengun from Houston, Paul George, Victor Wembanyama, Chet, and Kat.
Yeah, I would say I'm still fine with it. I think I'm surprised Victor's not higher, to be honest, just because.
Really?
I am surprised that, but I mean, but like you said, it's a big time market. Like the Houston people, that Sengun guy has been pretty good, and they have decent size. I mean, it's Cat. So I don't know. I don't hate that either. I mean, I think that list is relatively close and stuff, but I mean, like I said, it's always hard after those 5 because those 5 I think deserve to be at the upper for sure.
Yeah, so you've got 5 starters, 7 reserves.
Okay.
So you only get 7 you get 7 like spaced out for guards and forwards.
Okay. Interesting.
So it's 12 players on each team. So
okay.
24 total.
Interesting.
So when you move to the guards, you've got Luka as 1, Steph 2, Shea number 3, James Harden 4, and Kyrie 5.
Well, and what's crazy too, well, not necessarily
There's
crazy, but there's a gigantic gap between Shea and James.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
It's a million. It's over a million.
Top 3 are in their own little race, and then the next, you could say 5 are much closer.
Well, yeah, and I think what's crazy too is when you look at the rest of the list, like Ant's probably close, right? He's 6.
Yeah, so let's start with these first 5 here.
Yeah. I think Kyrie's kind of weird. I think if I had to pick one name out of there, I think Steph's kind of very similar to LeBron. He'll always be. Luka's very similar. Shea is a potential MVP candidate this year. He's playing unreal. James Harden, okay, not having a bad season on a good big market team.
He's starting to
cook a little bit, and then but Kyrie is the interesting one because it's like Kyrie has probably played less than, I don't know, half the games, around a third of the games.
I'm not sure.
I'll look this up.
Okay.
Kyrie.
But I mean, there could be something to say about him and Luka both being in the top 5, right? Same team. Probably the people that are voting for Luka
Voting for Kyrie.
portion of them are voting for Kyrie. Probably everybody that's voting for Kyrie is voting for Luka.
So 25 games played. Okay.
25 out of probably 37.
Yeah. So probably he's missed a third, which isn't actually as much as I thought. That's probably not bad.
Yep. Well, now that we're getting deeper into going through each person, I think I saw that it's 2 guards and 3 front court players.
Okay.
So in theory, the starters at this point for the West would be Luka and Steph, and then LeBron, Durant, and Jokic.
Interesting.
Those would be the 5 starters.
Interesting.
Do you feel good about those 5, or do you think somebody should be starting instead of one of them?
I just hate this because I mean I know they vote and stuff, but I think Shea deserves to start.
I do too.
I think Shea is the one name where like the bro is putting up video game numbers consistently on a day-to-day basis, and that team is also doing pretty well.
Exactly.
And there's nothing wrong with Luka. I think Luka's a very good player and whatever, and Steph is Steph. But if you're looking and you're asking me, like, he's been playing fine, but the Warriors are bad.
Yeah, he's been. That would be tied to like the NFL and the MVP. Like, if Steph's not on that team is literally losing every single game.
Correct.
Like, he's the only reason why they're winning any games.
Yep.
So, and also he's in the same category as LeBron, where it's like he's a very noteworthy person, and every
fan
year
favorite
he's gonna
always.
So like, I would almost say Lucas should drop out and put Shea in.
Yeah, I think so. I think Shea deserves to be in.
Mm-hmm.
And I will say this too at the same time, like the difference is with Steph is like just being honest, like Steph and his game is built and made for the All-Star game.
Yeah, it's perfect.
Because it's one of those things where you look at Steph and you're like, okay, he's going to hit a few logo threes. Everyone loves that shit.
Mm-hmm.
And then whatever. And I think Luka's in a similar way. I think the problem is like Shea doesn't necessarily get the recognition yet that he probably deserves.
Yeah, this year is the first year that he's like really put himself in the MVP conversation.
100%.
And so like once this year kind of fully goes through, the All-Star game happens, he's in some regard in the All-Star game, whether that's a starter or reserve. The Thunder, in theory, probably win at least one series in the playoffs. So like after this year is fully done, I think going forward he's into the realm of like, okay, he's in this conversation.
Oh, 100%. And like you said, he's played 38 games. He's averaging 31 points, 6 assists, almost 6 rebounds. I mean, he is playing at a different level than what we're probably used to. But like you said, exactly. I think he's just one of those guys where like you think about the OKC and you're like, Shea has got to be the first name that comes to mind, or one of the first few.
Yep.
So.
Definitely. Anybody in the 6 through 10 range that you think should bump up into the top 5? You got Anthony Edwards at number 6, John Morant at 7, so he wouldn't be able to play anyways because he's hurt. De'Aaron Fox, Devin Booker, Klay Thompson.
Well, probably being a homer, I would say Ant. I think Kyrie should take out of there, and I think Ant should step in.
Okay. They're only 20,000 votes apart,
so that's pretty
very close.
Well, and I think the hard part too is like with these people, like I look at this lineup and I'm like, I just don't think Klay Thompson is playing that well either. I think De'Aaron Fox,
up and down.
He's been up and down, but I just
De'Aaron Fox has not been playing well either.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. So you look at this list and like Devin Booker, it's just the same guys, and it's like, I mean, I understand it, but I don't know. It's very tough. I think Ant would be the one that deserves to start personally. That might be a homer crowd. That might be not.
The likelihood that he's going to start is very low.
100%. But I was being a homer.
Yeah.
So.
All right, we're moving to the East now. So you've got front court. Giannis is the first place. Then Joel Embiid. Then Jason Tatum. Jimmy Butler's 4. Jaylen Brown is 5. Thoughts on the top 5? So
it's the same thing. Jimmy Butler. I mean, I think Jimmy Butler has been great, but Jimmy Butler hasn't played.
Jimmy Butler's been out for quite
a while. But when you look at it, it's the same thing. You look at the top 3. 3.47 mil, 2.97, 2.9394, whatever you want to say. Jimmy Butler is 1.9 million away from 3.
Yes, it's a significant jump down from
significant jump, and I think it deserves to be. But I also think it's one of those things when I look at it, like, I don't know. There's a lot of other players potentially that could take that spot, but when you look at these top 3, they're solidified. Jaylen Brown's probably should be up there. I just don't know about Jimmy Butler.
Well, it's funny because, I mean, there's that big jump from 3 to 4. There's also a pretty sizable jump from 4 to 5 and 5 to 6. So you've got like a 300,000 vote difference from Jimmy Butler to Jaylen Brown from 4 to 5, and then another 300,000 from Jaylen Brown at 5 to Porzingis at 6.
Wow. Yeah.
So like that, the top 5 is pretty much solidified here right now, at least, where that's a pretty big jump to get into that top 5.
Yeah. Damn.
So 6 through 10, you've got Porzingis at 6, Bam Adebayo at 7, Julius Randle at 8, Paolo Banchero at 9, and Mikal Bridges at 10. I mean, I'm not exactly sure how I feel about having 3 Boston Celtics players in the top 6, because I already know that they're going to have at least one. It's interesting that Jaylen Brown's considered a front court player.
Yeah,
just because they have Drew Holiday and Derek White.
Yeah.
That's probably why he's considered a front court player. He plays 3, but in my head, I would picture Jaylen Brown as a guard.
Yeah. But, I don't really love the fact that there's 3. I mean, I hope there's not 3 Boston Celtics that are starting, to be honest, but...
No, they would. It wouldn't, because it's going to be Giannis,
it's the top
Embiid, and
3.
Tatum.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, so
then jumping into the guards, you've got Halliburton at number 1, which I think is awesome because he's been killing it. Trae Young at 2, Damian Lillard at 3, Donovan Mitchell at 4, Tyrese Maxey at 5. How do you feel about the top 5?
I actually don't hate it. I mean, Tyrese Halliburton definitely deserves all the credit. The guy is playing out of his mind.
Mm-hmm.
He's a scorer, but he's also one of those guys where you look at it, like, he's averaging over, like, 12 assists a game.
He has so many assists every game.
I mean, and he grabs rebounds, he does all that stuff. So, like, I think, yes, he definitely deserves to be up there. Trae Young is playing okay, not bad. Dame Lillard, okay. Tyrese Maxey, I think, though, deserves a little bit more love. I think he's clearly the number 2 guy on this 76ers team.
Yep, clearly.
So, and the 76ers are potentially making a push again for being the best team in their conference or whatnot. But I think it's also one of those things when you watch him play, he's very good. And he, even with Embiid out sometimes, he drops 50.
Mm-hmm.
He has games, yes, where he struggles and he plays better with Embiid, but he has games where it's like, okay, I'm very suitable and very fine.
Yep.
So
yeah, and he can handle it himself.
1000%. Who's the next ones after that?
6 through 10 is Jalen Brunson.
Okay.
Then it's a pretty sizable jump down. It's about 350,000.
Okay.
Jump down to 7, which is Derek White. 8 is LaMelo Ball, which I don't love because he's been out for a long, long time.
Yeah.
He just came back. Drew Holiday at 9, and then DeMar DeRozan at 10.
Okay.
So,
I mean, I think the sizable, it kind of shows. I mean, I don't, like I said, I think just with these guys being hurt, like LaMelo Ball, like, bro, just came back.
Right. And he was out for a long
time. And I will say this, Drew Holiday's a solid player. What is this, a Celtics whole starting 5?
It is, yeah.
And then you have DeMar DeRozan, who has actually been playing decent too on that Chicago team. But I think, like, when you look at it, like, Jalen Brunson is very good as well. Mm-hmm. But I don't think he's better than Tyrese Maxey. So I think when you're talking about the top 5 versus anyone else, I think the top 5 is fine.
Yep, I agree. So here's the starting list. Think about this. So you got Eastern starters would be Halliburton and Trae Young.
Okay.
Giannis, Jason Tatum, and Embiid.
Okay.
West would be Luka and Steph.
Okay.
LeBron, KD, and Jokic. That's a pretty competitive starting group on each side.
Yeah, to be honest, if you're looking at just the names, the West is probably a little bit better in my opinion, but I also think Halliburton doesn't get the love he should.
Mm-hmm. Halliburton and Trae Young, I think, would be a tough combination of guards, just because both of them are like point guards that are very much like assist oriented, which isn't the worst thing for an all-star game, but like if you slotted in Dame, I don't know.
Well, I think Dame gives kind of that little flair that you kind of want.
He's the Eastern Conference version of Steph.
100%. So if you put them against each other, and then you have Trae Young. And to be honest, I'll say this. Trae Young is kind of very similar to that, too. Trae Young loves to pull from gosh knows where.
Yep, totally.
But I think it's going to be fun. I think those are pretty good. Like I said, there's a few players that probably deserve more. But if you talk those starting five, they're probably up there for who deserves it. I mean, I think potentially Shea should go in there, and then potentially, like you said, Dame. But that's 6 players.
That's really the only difference is.
No, 100%. And I think Donovan Mitchell's been balling his brains out, but I don't know if he's an all-star game like the rest of those guys.
Yeah, what do you think about Jared Allen? He's kind of been playing well.
Yeah, he's unbelievable. He's a rim stopper. But that's the thing. They don't get love.
Mm-hmm.
But here's the thing. When you look at the other 5, I mean, you going to put Jared Allen in there?
No. Not. I'm not talking like top 5 for the front court, but like above Mikal Bridges.
Oh, 100%. I think Mikal Bridges is whack.
Above Porzingis.
Yeah, I think Porzingis has shown a little bit, but I think it's just hard though, because it's the same thing like you said. It's the same thing if they had those things where you'd have to identify a center, Jared Allen would for sure be in there.
Yeah, I think Julius Randle should be 6, and I think Banchero should be 7. And I think I'm between Banchero and Adebayo for 7.
Okay.
The other one would be 8, and I would put Julius Randle at 6. I'd drop Porzingis down to 9.
Okay.
9 or 10, depending on if you want to add in Jared Allen.
It's just too many Celtics. They should have a max. Like, I know it's fan voting, I know it's whatever, but like...
Yeah, I mean, they are the best team in the league.
Yeah, but... So there's 2 Timberwolves, and we're literally right next to them.
Yeah, pretty close. I don't think Drew Holiday's stats are...
No.
Close to being all-star level. That's not to say he's not important, because he's very important to their team and to winning. But like in terms of all-star statistics, I don't think that it necessarily warrants that.
Right.
But
and that's what we're talking about.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Anyways,
we'll see it in a few months.
There you go.
Or a month.
1 month is the all-star game, so we might update you as it gets closer.
Yeah, we'll probably update you in 2 weeks. See what the voting's done and go from there.
That's right.
So,
NFL, we are in the thick of the playoffs here.
Yeah. I mean, I'll say this. Kind of an interesting NFL thing. I don't think a lot of people saw. I mean, there was obviously the Dolphins suck when it's cold, but the Cowboys just blowing it. But I'll say this, and I hate to say this because I'm not trying to hop on that bandwagon and I still hate them, but like, the Packers showed that they could be very good.
Yeah, they did. They played really well.
But the hardest part also, I was thinking about this, when you look at the Cowboys, they just exposed the Cowboys defense for being, which has helped them and has always helped them. They're just so aggressive and they all want to get interceptions and sacks.
Yeah.
They don't play a team defense and stay in their lanes and do whatever. They literally just run around with their heads cut off. I mean, there was 3 plays where Jaron Kearse just no one knew where Jaron Kearse was going.
Right.
And I know it hurts and I know whatever, but it's also like the same thing. It's like, I understand Deron Bland, or whatever, I don't know how to say it. Deron Bland.
That was it. Yeah.
6 pick sixes, great. But dog, like, there was times in this game where it was like, he got exposed, because they all try to jump routes and they all try to do all that stuff.
Yep.
Which during the regular season is fine, but when you're playing a good playoff team, no. Sorry. No. You just can't.
You can't do that.
So, that just was a hard one to swallow, and then
let's just keep going. Rams Lions.
Well, I think that was the game of the weekend, and I think it deserved to be the game of the weekend. I mean, not only with the storylines.
It was a good first half.
First half was great. The storylines were great. You thought this was going to be like a 50-50 shootout.
Uh-huh.
And then, like, we've talked about
there. Hit the under.
Oh, yeah, and what's crazy is it was one of those games where, like, they just stopped playing.
Mm-hmm.
And there was some injuries. There was some whatever. There was some potential. Matt Stafford probably had a concussion. Shouldn't have come back in. Whatever. But when you watch this Lions team, like, they're the one team I truly think can compete in the NFC with the San Francisco 49ers.
At this point, they're probably the only one.
I know, but I hate to say this, and I don't want to, but like, if the Packers just beat the Cowboys, going into Cowboys, I think the 49ers are a different breed. But with that being said, I think with that momentum, you can beat anybody. Now it's anybody's game.
Yeah.
Also, fun fact for you, another team in the top 25 just lost for college basketball. But I think it'll be very interesting. I think Eagles suck. They need a clean house. Jalen Hurts is not fun to watch. I think he's a bum.
He's good at certain things.
I will say this, and the one person, they had Bruce Arians on. I was watching the Manning cast for a little bit. They had Bruce Arians on, and he said one thing he was like, the Eagles are literally built to only play from ahead. And it made sense. Like, they couldn't run the ball.
It was almost like they didn't try to run the ball.
Well, it was just one of those things, like, even, I don't know if Jalen Hurts was hurt or whatnot, but, like,
they only had
15.
15 total rushes.
Well, Jalen Hurts only had one.
And Jalen Hurts had one.
And they got stopped on a tush push. So technically he had two. They just didn't count it. But
yeah, that's weird.
It's one of those things that, like, when I watched the Eagles, it was like they knew that the Buccaneers were just going to blitz on a third down every time. And it was like every play Jalen Hurts had no idea, and he would just throw it off his back shoulder and throw it in the air. And it was like, statistic-wise, okay, 25 of 35, 250, one touchdown, sure. But watching that game, I was like, this guy stinks. And maybe he was a little hurt. He couldn't scramble as much, but, I mean, give credit to Baker Mayfield and the Bucs. They came out and they just were slinging it.
Yeah, they looked really good.
Yeah. I mean, your leading receiver is Cade Otton.
Yeah. He was the security blanket.
Yeah.
All right, so that's the NFC. So we had the Packers, the Lions, and the Buccaneers win.
Yep.
AFC-wise, Browns played the Texans first. Texans took care of business there.
Yeah, and I think, I mean, it's kind of deceiving, though, because they had back-to-back pick sixes, right?
Yep.
Which kind of blew the game open for the Texans versus the Browns. But I will say, I think C.J. Stroud basically showed to everyone, like, he is the real deal.
Yeah.
I mean, he's solid. He's playing with a Devin Singletary, making him look good. Nico Collins balling. And they don't even have Tank Dell, who during the year was probably their best receiver.
Probably, yeah.
So it's
him and Nico Collins.
Yeah, him and Nico Collins. So C.J. Stroud is showing that he can do what he wants to do, and I mean, they'll have a tough game coming up. But I think, I mean, he's shown himself, and I mean, they were projected, this year, to win 3 games?
I think maybe 4.
4? 3.5, 4?
So, yeah.
So, yeah, I think it's crazy.
Yeah, they look good. You got the Chiefs, Dolphins. Chiefs took care of business there.
Yeah, and I think people probably saw this coming a little bit just because it was so cold, and the Dolphins have struggled in the cold.
They've struggled in the cold, and they've struggled against good teams.
Good teams, yeah. And I think when you look at the Dolphins, it surprises me, though, because their offense is built off of short passes, crossing routes, whatever. Speed. And this game, it just seemed like Tua was trying to throw the ball 10, 15, 20 yards. And no offense, the bro just couldn't do it. I said this live when we were watching it. He would throw it, and it would look like it was like a Nerf ball that would just drop.
Yeah, there was and I even noticed it in the next game that we're going to talk about, the Bills and the Steelers game, where like you could tell a difference in Josh Allen and Mason Rudolph throwing the ball, and just like the arm strength.
Oh yeah,
that it took, like when the conditions aren't the greatest. Like obviously it was super cold in the Dolphins Chiefs game, and you can tell a difference when the arm strength is where Mahomes has it and where Tua has it. Like Tua's a precision passer. He like processes information and like leads
very accurate,
leads receivers and like throws it where they're going to be versus like seeing somebody throwing it exactly where they're at. Right. But like there's a difference between that throwing style and then just like the arm strength that Mahomes and Josh Allen and like all these big armed receivers have.
Yeah, the big arm quarterbacks. Well, I think it's even the same thing.
Yeah, quarterbacks.
Yeah, no, 100%. And I know the weather played a factor in it, but it's like you even look at these other quarterbacks, like Stafford has always been known for having a big arm. Jared Goff is a very accurate. I don't know if he has the best arm. But like Tua's definitely knock is always like, even when they got Tyreek to come over, the biggest knock was like, okay, is Tyreek just going to outrun? Can Tua throw it that far? And he showed he could do a little bit. I just think it's hard though because the game plan, I just don't think it was a good game plan going into Kansas City.
Yeah, they struggled there.
Yeah, and it's hard. So I mean, give the Chiefs credit. They played well. This will be a very interesting game coming up. So.
Yep. All right, last game we kind of touched on it. Bills. It got closer in the second half, it seemed.
Yeah.
But the Bills were pretty much dominated that game.
Yeah, I think the Bills dominated. But I also think when you look at it, the Steelers had, they had 2 turnovers right away. They had a lost fumble by George Pickens and then, a potential lost fumble by Freiermuth. But then they had the pick while they were at like the 10-yard line. So that's a huge point swing. So
that kills you.
I do think the game was closer than it probably may be, but I think the Bills just continue to win.
Yep.
They continue to win, and they're, like I said, to give the Steelers some credit, I guess Mike Tomlin already came back and said he wants to coach, so it's going to be the same stuff. I think at some point, though, you have to cut ties with these other players, like old players like Najee Harris needs to go. Just let these young bucks run.
Yep. All right, so moving on to this weekend. What is this weekend called? Divisional round. We got Texans are going to the Ravens. Ravens are 7.5-point favorites. Over under is 43.5.
Yeah.
It's in Baltimore. What do you think? What's like the most notable thing you're either looking for or that you expect is gonna happen in this game?
Well, I think it will be, how does the Baltimore defense stop Nico Collins? Because to be honest, the run, like Devin Singletary doesn't scare me, but it will also be like on that end, like can CJ Stroud just slice and dice him? I don't know. It's also in Baltimore, which is outside, so it makes it very hard. But I think it will be a better game. I could very much see the Texans covering this game.
Yeah, 7.5 is a lot of points.
Yeah, when you start to get over that touchdown mark,
it makes you nervous.
It's a little nerve-wracking. So,
yeah, I think CJ Stroud, if he's able to play as well as he has been, then it could definitely be a very close game.
Yeah,
which is kind of what I expect.
Yeah.
Second game on Saturday, you've got the Packers are going to San Francisco. San Francisco 8.5-point favorites. Over under is 50.5.
Yeah, I mean, we said this last week. I thought the Cowboys were going to smoke the Packers.
Yeah, me too.
8.5 is a lot of points. I do think this defense will be different, and I also think when you look at the 49ers offense, what hurt the Cowboys so much is the Packers punched them in the mouth when getting the ball first and going down and scoring, and then the Cowboys just looked like they didn't know how to play anymore, and they stopped going to their game plan. Now when you have a guy like Christian McCaffrey, who will be the focal point, it's going to be very tough. So I think this game will be pretty high scoring. I think it will hit the over, but I also think San Francisco will cover.
Okay.
That's my opinion.
Yeah, it's just hard to...
8.5 is a lot of points in a divisional round. But it's also hard to go...
I mean, that's basically what the Ravens and Texans is. 7.5. That's pretty similar.
Yeah, 100%.
It's hard to... Like, I know that the Packers just beat the Cowboys, but it's hard to picture them doing the same thing to the 49ers.
Right, I think the 49ers will come out with a better game plan. Like I said, the 49ers have more weapons.
I just picture them as, like, they're very solid everywhere versus the Cowboys. In the back of your mind, you always kind of are just like, I don't know if they got it.
Yeah, well, and I think what makes it hard, too, like, I heard this when I was watching the Cowboys game, is you could tell there was a moment when they started to panic and they started to try to force the ball to CD, which, granted, they should have started throwing it to CD more, but there was multiple plays where it's like CD wasn't even close to open.
Right.
And he was like, I'm forcing this into you.
Yeah.
And then you look at like a Brandon Cooks, he was open. The 49ers don't do that.
Right.
Granted, when you're playing from behind, it is different. I just don't see the 49ers playing from behind by more than 2 scores. I think they'll control the game.
Even by 2 scores, I find that. Like, 2 scores being like a touchdown and field goal, maybe. But like 2 touchdowns, I find that hard to picture.
Yeah. So, we'll see.
All right, so then moving on to Sunday, we got Buccaneers at Detroit.
Kind of a good game.
Starting the day at noon. At 2 p.m.
No, 2 p.m. and 5 p.m.
2 p.m. Detroit's 6.5-point favorites, over under 48.5. So far we've got a 6.5, a 7.5, and an 8.5.
Yeah.
Spreads.
So I think it's good. I mean, I think it will be a close game. I think it will be fun to watch. I will say this: Detroit playing at home has been very good.
Good, very good for them. Yes.
Very good for them.
And
I think the Buccaneers show a different aspect, though.
It's been very good because it's climate controlled.
Climate controlled, which is great for them, and it helps crowd helps. They'll be able to control the game, I think. The Buccaneers' defense is very good. I think they played during the year, I remember, and Jared Goff didn't even have, I think it was Montgomery or Jahmyr Gibbs, and they still played pretty well. So I do think the Lions will win this game. I think they will cover. I don't think...
You think the magic is over for Tampa Bay?
I think the magic is over for Tampa Bay. I think Baker Mayfield played great, but I also look at it, I'm just like, they'll be fine against the run, but Jared Goff is making all these wide receivers look unbelievable.
Elite.
And Sam Laporte is back. God, I don't know how he's back.
I don't know either.
But he's back. So, see what happens.
All right, so then we got Chiefs-Bills to wrap up the weekend. This is probably the one that everybody's looking forward to.
Yeah, I think this should be the best game.
Buffalo 3-point favorites over under 45.5.
Yeah, and it will be cold. We all know that.
Probably cold, yeah.
Yeah, cold.
Hopefully no snow. That's what I'm hoping for.
Yeah, I think it will be one of those things that I think it's crazy. But I think when they always play, we always remember that one. What was it? The AFC.
Literally, probably the best game I've ever.
Yeah.
Top 3 best game I've ever watched.
Was it the AFC Championship? Is that the one you know what I'm talking about?
I think it was either AFC Championship or AFC semifinal.
Okay, but it was it was the game where
round.
it was literally the game where it was like they changed the whole playoffs based off of that game because no one wanted it to end, and it was literally like this game could go on forever.
The best game.
Yeah, so it was fun. I mean, it was fun to watch. I can't believe it's 45.5 probably because it's so cold, but I think it'll still be kind of a shootout.
I think it'll be. I mean, you gotta think that that's gonna go up.
Yeah, I think it'll be closer to 50 to be honest.
Yeah, look at this. So, ticket differences. So in Buffalo, tickets as low as 172.
Oh, I saw the
Detroit as low as $519.
Well, I think they're finally bringing something
to. That's nuts.
To Detroit. I actually saw something online that said you can spend like $180 and get every single Detroit Pistons game and go to every Detroit Pistons game for the rest of the year, and that won't even get you into one playoff game.
Jeez. Yeah, I mean, you got as low as 121 in Baltimore, as low as 221, so $100 more in San Francisco, California prices, sure. You got 172 for probably the best game of the weekend, but it's outside in the worst temperatures. And then you got 519 in Detroit. It's inside, so you don't have to worry about that.
I do think that plays a factor, though, of the Bills. Is it probably should be higher, but no one wants to sit outside in that cold.
Yeah, look miserable.
Also, look, this is crazy. Like, these games, like, I get it.
500 up top.
People want, upper level section 340. Row 15, level 320 in the end zone is starting at $496 each.
Yeah.
That means if you're doing 2 tickets, you're dropping over $1,000.
That's the lowest.
That's what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
So
football, I always struggle about going to football, specifically NFL games, because it's so nice to just like watch the game on TV. Like you can see everything. Like they do a good job of just like the presentation
go to
of
the
it.
Bathroom, you can do what.
Yeah, exactly. So like I always struggle about balancing like going to football NFL games versus just watching them on TV.
Yeah.
So like I don't know, that's a lot of money to go.
Well, $500. I mean,
would you do it if you were a Detroit fan, knowing everything? 30 years, all that stuff. Playoff game.
You know what? To be honest, I probably actually wouldn't.
Would not. Okay.
So like, if the Vikings were in this situation, whatever, I probably actually wouldn't.
Really?
Because I'm looking at the future. The Lions will win our division for a good amount of time. I truly think.
Really?
Or they'll be in the playoffs.
Yeah.
For a decent amount of time. They got a young team who's very good.
Mm-hmm.
So you're not only spending $500, you're spending $1,000 because you want 2 tickets.
Yeah.
We got to pay a mortgage around this place, Chris. I mean,
First time in 30 years, though.
I get
They've
first
been
time in 30
saving
years.
for 30 years for these tickets. That's why they're so expensive.
Yeah, and I think it'll be fun, and it's going to be a great atmosphere. I don't know. I don't see it happening, but it could be one of those things that they get another home game if the Packers upset the 49ers. Those tickets might be $1,000 each.
It would be.
Yeah.
It would for sure be.
But that's what I'm saying. I think
it's also, it'd be Green Bay and Detroit. Oh my God.
Yeah. So I think it's crazy. I think
awful.
that's just so much money. But like you said,
that would be awful.
Back to your point with like watching football games, I think it's so hard to go to games now though, because this might sound horrible, but like playing fantasy football and having red zone, like I want to watch multiple games and be able to do that. Where if you go to a Vikings game, which don't get me wrong, Vikings games are very fun.
Mm-hmm.
I think going to 1 or 2 one game a year is great. I didn't go to any this year, which was fine. But if I go to one, probably great. But I think it's crazy because it's like, well, you're missing then all the 12 o'clock games. You'd have to deal with traffic. Then you don't get home till about 4:30. You're missing almost the 3 o'clock games. And it's a Sunday. It's hard on a Sunday when everyone works on Monday.
You know what that sounds like? It sounds like you're getting old.
I am old, I'm 30. But I'm just saying, I think I have... And now that red zone, when you have red zone and when you do fantasy football, there's nothing better than sitting down and watching TV.
And watching your guys score points.
And yelling at them.
That's right.
Like they can hear you.
All right, you got anything else you want to talk about for NFL?
No, I think it'll be exciting.
All right, love it. Then with that, we're moving on to Fave 4.
Fave 4.
You want to tell them what we're doing?
Fave 4 this week, we are doing drinking games. So if you're drinking,
That's right.
it involves drinking, and it's a game, it's a drinking game. Heads. That was the softest flip I've ever seen.
It was heads.
Thank you.
You want to go first or second?
You know what? I'll go first.
Okay.
I'll go with the classic beer pong.
Okay. That was also going to be my number one.
I think it's just a classic.
It's the best one there is. I'm going to go with beer darts.
Okay. Watch your toes.
And I'm also going to go with Boom Cup.
Okay. You know what's crazy about beer darts and beer pong is you drink so much more beer than you actually think. It actually gets you messed up.
Beer darts.
Well, beer darts for sure, but I'm even saying beer pong sometimes. Like you start filling those cups up and you're like...
Yeah, for beer pong, there's ways around it. Like you're pretty much like I would say 80% of the time I play that, I'm playing with water in the cups and you're drinking on
Oh
the
yeah,
side,
beer pong, yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But like for beer darts, there's not a lot of ways that you can get around like actually having a can in front of you.
And when it breaks, you have to chug it.
Exactly.
Yeah, to be honest, I was actually thinking of my next pick. I was saying flip cup.
Okay.
That way you drink a lot of beer very fast.
I didn't even think about that one today.
And then my next one, you know what I'm going to go with is ride the bus.
Okay. Can I do Irish poker?
You can. Because people think they're different.
It is different.
Yeah, but yeah. They're similar, but they're different.
It is different. Irish poker, individual, ride the bus, basically.
So is it different?
It is different. Yeah.
Yeah,
that's number 3. My number 4 is hockey.
Dude, I will say this. I love hockey, and playing hockey in college was great.
Mm-hmm.
I'll tell you though, I have welts on my chest from people just ripping these shots.
Yeah.
And it's like...
Slap shot regatta.
Yeah. And I feel like we haven't played that game in a long time.
Nope.
So, my last game I'm going to go with is the 3-man.
Oh, God.
You want a drink?
Oh, my
That's a
gosh.
drinking game.
That, if you're looking to drink a lot, that's the one.
Yeah. Shout out, Brennan loves that game.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah.
Oh, frick. What's the
aggressive.
game? Oh, I didn't even think about it.
Yeah, that's an aggressive game.
Yeah, that is an aggressive game.
All right.
What is it called? Beer Die was another good one.
Beer die, yes.
Yeah.
There's just so many, sometimes it's hard to remember all of them.
Yeah, well, you don't even
To
think
be
about
honest
them,
with
and
you.
you just, yeah. I mean, they're all fun. They're all fun.
I didn't
They're fun when you can play them, like, outside. Like,
Yeah, outside games is
yeah.
awesome.
Like, beer darts, that's why beer darts is great. That's why, beer pong sometimes outside, but baseball is a good... No, not baseball. What's the one you chuck it off the cans?
Beer die.
Beer ball.
Beer ball.
That's another good one, so.
Yep.
There you go.
All right, so what was your 4?
My 4 were beer pong.
Mm-hmm.
They were flip cup, ride the bus, 3-man.
Yep, and mine were beer darts, boom cup, Irish poker, hockey.
There you go. A lot of good drinking games out there for you people.
There you have it, team. All right, episode 22.
In the books. Peace.
Peace out.